Hello and welcome to our 5 minutes with Ekaterina vlog about Dnipro, the central Ukraine. It is the end of August now, and we can say that the summer campaign in terms of military is almost over. And because for so long I have been delivering you some kind of bad news, I'm very excited and I'm starting right away. Ukrainian army was able to liberate about 140 kilometers of our land, and practically all the territory of Dnipro region that has been occupied by Russians since spring is now free. I'm very excited, and I'm trying to be cautiously excited because of course all these villages, they are ruined. Of course there is mining. Of course it's not stable, and because when you deoccupy the territory you need to have a lot of things in place, and it's far from being livable again. But it is deoccupied, it's not under Russian occupation anymore. And for me, that's this kind of ray of hope that I was looking forward to. And when I was saying, okay, there are rumors that we are liberating the land, but I don't see it. So now it is official, and you can see it on Deep State map. That's the resource that probably most of you are using anyway, and that's something great that is happening. Regretfully, not all the front line is the same, and there are fights for Konstantinivka, very serious situations there, and Russians are trying to advance, Russians are trying to capture this town, but we will see what is happening because, as you might imagine, the Ukrainian army is trying to fight back. We don't see some kind of great counter-operation or great, I don't know, breaking in Russian lines, so they're not running away. It's every centimeter of the land that we regain, and it's blood, it's work, it's very hard. But at the same time, as a civilian, I'm so happy to hear about this. It just gives me some, I don't know, some emotions, some good emotions. And as for the situation in Dnipro itself, there are a few things. The good things is that we still have everything on the shelves despite the bombings. So we had regular bombings within August as well, and these bombings, for example, we have a warehouse nearby, and in the warehouse there was potato. And we didn't have potatoes for, I think, for 2 weeks in the major supermarket. It's called ATB, so we didn't have potatoes for 2 weeks in this specific supermarket. You still can go to the shop or to the smaller, like, vegetable shops that they use in smaller warehouses, or you still can go to the vegetable market and buy it from people who grow it, but specifically in these supermarkets, there were no potatoes, and I think carrots wasn't there. We have a stock at home, so I didn't go specifically for this, but when my mom told me, oh, did you notice? Actually, I said, oh no, that's not true. And then I went there, and it was true. We had fruit, we had everything, so the shelves were not empty, but specifically these things were not there. And then, for example, if Russians are bombing ice cream warehouse, we don't have ice cream of specific factory, and so on. And Russian strategy is actually to bomb warehouses now. It's the continuation of this terror against the population. And when we are thinking about it, because now maybe you heard that Ukrainian army forces, we have the opportunity to also strike Russian oil refineries more and more, and Russian warehouses of raspberries, for example, more and more. And because of this, there are officials from the Russian side, the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs, for example, they go on TV and they're saying that it is a war with Europe, and the Ukrainian army is manipulated or used by Europeans in order to spread Nazism inside of Russia, and because Russians won over Nazism in the Second World War, which is not true, but that's a part of the legend. Now they have this historical mission to go and to destroy Ukraine and to win over Nazism again. And they said that they will be continuing to strike the logistics, to strike warehouses, And also they specifically said that they will be continuing to hit the travel routes, and regretfully, the last week was um, very difficult in terms of bombing of civilian trains. Regretfully, two train drivers were killed by Russian drones. They were trying to evacuate the train, but they wanted to do it at the station to do it more safely because they were very close to the station, so they wanted people to take a shelter. And they led the train to this more safe place, but right the moment they stopped, the Russian drone hit them, specifically this train driver's cabin, and both train drivers died this way. Again, this was 100% civilian train. We don't have the trains that are half cargo, half civilians. So it was obvious that it is a civilian train, and it was obvious that people are just trying to survive, people are trying to evacuate, and it's also seen in the cameras because Russian drones are equipped with cameras as well. And it was the same for myself because I was traveling not long ago, and I travel a lot. So if you know me, you know that I travel a lot. And I was taking a train, and so they stop us in the middle of nowhere, and they ask you to onboard the train, and you're just spreading out in the field. I was like, it wasn't, there was evacuation declared, but it was a very short alert, so we didn't go out of the train at that moment. But on the way back, there was the whole part of the road that was bombed the day before, and we had to change the electric train to the old school steam train, and the train had, I don't know how they called, what is the proper name for it, and we were traveling on steam across the way where Russians destroyed the cables. And they also destroyed the rails themselves, but the rails were restored within 24 hours, so we were just lucky that we traveled not the day earlier, because it was obviously the bombing there and it was disruption of a major scale, so the train can be delayed for 12 hours or 14 hours, and you can just stay there in the field, being very much open to Russian rockets and Russian drones. And what I was trying to say before I deviated in these details is that this is the official policy of Russians. They specifically say that they're not going to stop. They say that this is their mission, and they try to show themselves or to present themselves probably to their own population as this last resort of non I don't know, non-Nazi nation, and they are fighting Nazism across the globe. And that's why this war is important, to save the humanity in the universe. So that's how they present themselves, and they're not going to stop unless they stop. That is the main takeaway from what I was watching, because obviously I speak Russian very well, and I can go to the news and I can watch it in original, I can read it, and when I was just watching it for 15 minutes, I was pretty much like, oh, really? If I didn't know that it's not true, I would buy it. So that's how bad propaganda is. And yeah, so we have constant bombings. We have nearby a warehouse that is still kind of, it was bombed a few days ago, and even a week ago actually, and it's still burning. So because of the materials, they cannot extinguish the fire, and every time we pass there will be like some small fire in there. The firefighters are trying to go and to do something, but it just reopens itself because it's so dry, so hot here. As for the electricity, we have it in Dnipro. Odessa, for example, is not so lucky because they had more bombings and they have electricity outages now pretty regularly. But we have in Dnipro, we have both electricity and we have water as well. And as for the normality or the war normality, I can observe that it's actually taking on people, the toll is taken, and I have a lot of friends who are now on some kind of antidepressants, so even people who didn't like any medications, they try to calm themselves down, they medicate themselves, and it's a very widespread thing to have some sort of antidepressant. Then the thing is that you're minding your business, you just live with your life. For example, I'm sleeping and there are like bombings and you wake up to the bombs and then you force yourself to sleep. Some people cannot force themselves to sleep and some people start to overeat because of this. We previously, even in the first years of the full-scale invasion, we didn't have obesity as a problem, but now because of the stress eating, we have obesity as a problem, and it's more and more noticeable around. You will see more people with this health problem. And I also was asking some people how they would describe the disruption of their life, because that's a project I'm going to start a little bit later. And they showed the pictures for example, ruined buildings. They showed the pictures of cemeteries with soldiers, with fallen soldiers. They showed the pictures of broken windows in their apartments. And that's what's happening. So you're just living, and it's pretty much the routine now. But then you have this set of events that is more and more stressful. And the general economy is not very good. Now, specifically in Dnipro, we can see that it's not enough men to perform the job. For example, I bought a new small cabinet just for the bathroom, and there was a problem to find the master who can hang it for me, and because the men they would not be there. And it's the same with the car reparation workshops, for example, all these technical services and all the jobs that are traditionally taken by men. They are now vacant, and women are not able to fill this position because often they have small children. It will be a few children, like two, maybe three. If there's three children, actually, mostly the men will stay at home because that's a loss of. But sometimes men will also go to fight if they would like to. So you have a woman who is a single mother. She cannot retrain herself to become the auto mechanic, for example, or she cannot do the physical labor. And when you need to build something, then you need to repair something, then you need to service your car. You see that there is some trouble because now it is pretty obvious that men are fighting in the front line. And that's pretty much what's happening. So the situation is changing. I wouldn't say it's the same. Also, I wouldn't say that we got used to the war. It is not true. As you see, people start having these big health issues, big problems that we will have in the long term. And we also started to have these economic problems connected to the lack of men. That's it. Again, the good news is that the liberation of the territories is also there. I'm very happy to report on this one. And that's exactly why we are fighting. We are hopeful. There is nothing, nothing, nothing. And then you have the 140 plus kilometers of land liberated. So don't give up on us. Please spread the word. Talk to your friends. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time and attention. And I